and good morning everybody. Today I'm going to be reviewing and explaining the entire Starboy album. So that's going to be a lot of fun, but I'm also going to be vlogging my day as part of it because I think music is a part of life, and so I want my vlogs and explanations as much as possible to represent that. So you're going to come along with me and we'll talk about Starboy as we go. First thing a day in the life, we've got cinnamon rolls. Alright, today we're going to be talking about an explanation of the album as a whole, kind of like what is the theme of the album. We'll be talking what is kind of the storyline that we see kind of developed in each song. The songs may not represent a comprehensive storyline, but we'll take a look at that. And then finally, we'll give you my review and opinions on the album as a whole. Pretty good. We need to charge the camera battery before I go to work. Time to go to work. April, you getting your nachos?
Yep.
Cool. Love you. See ya.
Have a good day.
Going to work. I work as an adjunct instructor and I direct the undergrad writing center at the university that I work at. The Starboy album is pretty sweet. I was actually just taking a look at the songs while the battery was charging, and I have this list where I describe every single one and I talk about the theme of each one, and I've definitely found a pattern. I think it's going to be deep, it's going to be super interesting. You guys are going to love some of the stuff that I found because I think there is kind of a story being told. There's these two dominant themes that we'll get into. I don't really like Christmas music. There's just something about like cheesy pop Christmas music. It's so fun to a point, then you get tired of it. I've got to hop on a bus and ride down to my building on campus, but I wanted to first say a couple of things about Starboy. The two themes that run through it are 1, definition of self by fame, and 2, sex and relationships. The presence of these two themes is intertwined throughout the album. I'll tell you more at lunchtime. This is my office where I do all of my work. Whew. Just climbed up like 3 flights of stairs, and I'm off to try to talk about this new idea I have for a new and better way to grade papers. We'll see if this other professor agrees. Alright, so things went pretty well. Hey everybody, as you already know, we are explaining and reviewing the Starboy album by The Weeknd. While I'm eating lunch, taking a break from work here, I'm up on top of one of the academic buildings, and I'm eating lunch, eating my pizza. The things I want to talk about right now is I want to summarize each song, I want to show how they develop two themes, sex and self, and his conception of self and his conception of like his relationships, how his relationships affect that. And I want to show the dramatic structure that that gives to the album. Now you've probably seen a lot of the other videos that I've made explaining each of these songs individually. There's a playlist down in the description where you can go and find like basically all of those explanations. Now you can probably see on the side of my board here that I've outlined 2 different themes that we kind of see throughout the entire album. Themes of self-definition and of his self-definition in relation to like sex, or just about sex in general, or attractive women or relationships, things like that. Self-definition, we have Starboy, where it's definitely all about who he is as a person. The next 2 songs are about sex. The 4th song is a little bit different. It really is about self, but it's in relation to the music industry, so it's kind of an odd one out there. Rock and Secret's True Colors Stargirl Interlude are all about sex as well. And then Sidewalks is definitely a definition of self and like how he came to be who he is. And then the next bunch of songs is about sex. Then we got Ordinary Life is more self-definition, and then we end with this kind of place where the themes collide. So far it's been either sex or self, but he kind of brings those into one thing. So it's sex, self, and relationship, and they all kind of combine to show how he defines himself based on these relationships. So I'm nothing without you, or all I know is that I need you, or I would die for you. So he's saying this is who I am in relation to you. And then we finish up with I Feel It Coming, which is again just about sex. So you've got your 2 basic themes there throughout the entire thing, and that's basically what this album is about. Who am I now that I'm a celebrity, and who am I now that I'm like dealing with relationships at this level as a person. And then I think that a lot of these other songs could possibly be about like one specific woman. It could be his old girlfriend Bella Hadid. That's up for conjecture. It's definitely difficult to disprove that all of these could be about one relationship. Of all of the songs focused on sex, I've starred the ones that could be focused about one person. I keep forgetting to eat. Now my pizza's cold. To kind of visualize this, I've created this chart based on Kurt Vonnegut's idea that you can map what a story looks like. And we can use this to tell some things about what the album as a whole means. Alright, so this line right here refers to kind of like how well things are going, and then the horizontal line refers to just kind of like the time as the album progresses. And each one of these dots is one of the songs in order. So he starts off pretty high with Starboy. Things are going really well. He's very proud of who he is, but he's a little bit conflicted too, so it's not as high as it could be. Then you move into Party Monster, which actually maybe should dip up a little bit because he meets somebody. He's good. He's great, he sings, and he's just looking for somebody to have sex with. Then we move into False Alarm, and it dips down. Things are still going overall really well, but she was kind of a jerk and kind of led him on, even though she just wanted like money and a good time and stuff. She wasn't really interested in him. Then we dip up a little bit. We go up a little bit with Reminder. So he's kind of like reminding everybody of who he is, and he's super confident at this moment. Then we zip on over to Rockin'. Who's like, it just kind of stays the same, but that's where they're just talking about like free sex, right? Secrets, he's afraid his girl's keeping secrets from him. So things actually get a little bit bad. But True Colors, he comes around as a person and kind of develops and says, you know, like, just tell me what's going on, we can figure this out. And then we move into True Colors, and then Stargirl Interlude. Things get really good for a second because they're having like makeup sex. Then we move into Sidewalks, and in Sidewalks and 6 Feet Under, things kind of stay the same because those don't really have like an impact on the story as a whole. Sidewalks, he just kind of reminds himself who he is, and then 6 Feet Under is about this woman. It's kind of a character sketch of somebody else. Then we move on to Love Delay. He feels like he's gotten played and been used. Then he plays or uses somebody else, so it's not quite as bad as being played, but it's still not like a great point for him as a person. Then Attention, things get a little bit worse because this girl is like jealous for him and is like, he wants her to just trust him, but it's kind of a fight. Then we move into Ordinary Life. And things get a little bit better. He comes to a little bit of a peak because he realizes, you know, I could be good, I could be bad, but I'm just happy with who I am. Then things go bad. His relationship is kind of on the rocks, and he sings I'm Nothing Without You. But it gets lower by a little bit when he sings All I Know, as he tries to convince her not to go, and then it gets really low as he sings Die For You. It's like, this is a really good realization for him as a person, but it means the relationship is at an end. That's the low point of the entire album, like the lowest point. There have been some other bad things that happened, but this was really the worst that happened to him. Then the album kind of upticks a little bit with I Feel It Coming, which is about sex, so things get as high as they can. Now, 2 things for you. One, I don't want you to think that this is what The Weeknd intended. This is just me tracking the emotional ebb and flow of the lyrics in the album as presented. So I'm interpreting it a little bit as a story to kind of help it make more sense, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he intended it that way. This represents the emotions, not necessarily the narrative. Notice that the thing that really makes him happy and brings him success is not necessarily the moments where he was a little bit of a better person, where he said, like, I understand, and he worked with people, or he talked about like his own success. The biggest problem is losing that relationship. So he's grown as a person. He kind of defined himself by his wealth and celebrity, and that's something that he was struggling with in Starboy. But the thing that hits him the most, it seems like to me, is the loss of this relationship. So even as much as he says, like, I'm a Starboy and I don't care what other people think and all this stuff, this relationship seems to have been maybe actually more important to him. So that's a really good sign for him, like, as a person and as his character. Something that I think is a little bit sad is that the point that I interpreted as the high point of the album at the very end is them having sex. So it's not the fulfillment of the relationship, it's them giving up on the relationship, but enjoying one last time the sort of hedonistic joy of like sexual pleasure. It's not necessarily when he does good things or when he struggles with who he is as a person and comes out on top, which he doesn't really ever try to tell us that he does. He usually tells us that he comes out on the bottom. He picks Mulholland over Valhalla, fame and celebrity over like heaven. In the end, the thing that sadly makes him the happiness is just kind of the sex that comes after a relationship that dies. So that's a little bit sad, but there were some other really good things that happened in this album. You know what? I think it's actually time for me to be done with my lunch break. I need to finish the rest of my pizza, pack all of this stuff up, and get back to work. That was a good day of work. Got plenty of stuff done, and I'd like to say that this right now, what's about to happen, what I'm about to tell you, is the reason that I think vlogging song explanations is super cool. It's because I was curious about some things I had been talking about and was listening to a comment from somebody. Mid-explanation, I was able to go and listen to this interview while I worked between The Weeknd and Zane Lowe, and they talked about like who The Weeknd is as a person. So I felt like I got to know him a little bit more. I just want to further emphasize the idea that The Weeknd and Abel Tesfaye are not the same person. So if in any of my explanations or in this explanation I ever like refer to him as a terrible person, he's not necessarily a terrible person. I mean, he may be a terrible person, but who he is on the album isn't the same as who he is in real life. I kind of liked him a little bit more, respect him a little more. He seemed like a quieter guy than I expected. He wasn't super braggadocious. And now we are heading home. We're going to see April for a few minutes. I have to be at like bro game night at 6 o'clock tonight. So we made it home. I realized that April is probably not going to be here. I think there's going to be a package here for me with some new lighting equipment. Let's see if that package is here. And it looks like it is. But the camera battery's almost dead, so I'm gonna wait to open this. That doesn't actually explain anything. These instructions are not actually helpful. Alright, so now we just gotta plug it in. Okay. Alright, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Let me show you what it looks like. There's that. Now look who's home! Alright, well, it's time for me to go. Goodbye, April. Bye. Sorry I didn't save any food to eat. What did you bring? Nobody. I brought Dead of Winter and Catan card game. Everybody, this is Ian. Alright, so I know you can't see me very well. Just finished up. Nobody else came. It was just me and Ian, so we played some games with his wife. Now it's back to home. We're gonna finish explaining the album. Whew, what a day. Well, we're back here in the den, and it's time to sort of give an all-around overview and opinion on the Starboy album. Before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys, if you want to check out any of the other explanations I've done of the Weeknd songs, there should be a playlist in the description that has all of those. Yeah, check it out. So I want to start by saying I'm a little bit confused why people would want to hear my opinion on this. The whole point of the Pop Song Professor is really to give an objective, lyrical analysis of something, not necessarily to evaluate it and tell you how to think about something or what to think. My worry with reviews is that people go to them looking for somebody to tell them, all right, here's how to sound like you know what you're talking about, and here's some like opinions and some advice on like how to sound smart to other people. Think just like me and you'll be smart. And that is never the purpose of the Pop Song Professor. But that being said, I have faith in you guys that you're not going to just blindly follow whatever I say. Make your own decisions. And I'm going to go ahead and give some of my opinions on the Starboy album. Let's start with music, because I think that's the one that I know the least about. I'm a big fan of music and I listen to it a lot, but I don't often really know what's going on. I haven't been trained in music or anything like that, so I feel like I have the least to offer in that category. That being said, songs that I really liked from this album, I think False Alarm was my favorite musically, just because it was so unique and it felt like the Weeknd challenging himself. So I really like that. Then I really like True Colors, Secrets, and Rockin'. All three of those are the kind of songs that April and I like to dance West Coast swing to. So I appreciated them for that. They're very danceable, but they're very like easy on the ears, you know? I like how they sound. So musically, I think it's cool that he's bringing R&B to pop. Some people were complaining. They were saying like, he's not pop. You're the Pop Song Professor. You can't explain him. He's R&B. I was listening to that interview today and he actually just claimed to be pop. So I'm just kidding, but he is pop. So I think it's cool that he's bringing that R&B and I think some trap and some hip hop and some rap to pop. So musically, I gave him like a 7 out of 10 because at the same time, a lot of what he's writing sounds like based on a style and he's not really like experimenting that much within those different styles. Now, this could be complete crap what I'm saying because like I said, I'm not musically gifted or anything. I haven't taken classes on music or anything like that, but lyrically I have a few more stronger opinions. Number one, I really like the concept of Starboy and this idea of kind of a conflicted celebrity who knows it but keeps making these wrong decisions. The Abel that I saw in that interview didn't seem like the kind of guy who would make a ton of bad decisions. He seemed like a nice guy kind of. So to create this character who he could kind of like work through some of these decisions that maybe he has, maybe he hasn't, I thought was very creative. So actually maybe that kind of bleeds over into creativity and I thought that was cool. I thought the concept of Starboy was really interesting. I would give that like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 like for like the basic concept because I think it's fantastic. It's the same thing that people like Melanie Martinez does with Crybaby, and it's the same thing Tyler Joseph does with Blurry Face from 21 Pilots. Lyrically though, I would say like I do like that concept, but I thought that the subject materials of the individual songs was a little bit repetitive. It was sex, relationships, I'm so cool, I'm so great. And I get that he's playing this part of Starboy, but even still, like, I don't think that he necessarily needed 18 songs to communicate all of that information to us. So there might be too much music on this album for what might be like a simpler idea. There's a lot on there that sounds good and I'm glad we have this music for sure. But if we're looking at the album as a whole, I felt like he kind of just started to repeat himself. Then as far as like creativity within the songs themselves go, almost every single song was exactly or very close to being verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse 2, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus, maybe an outro. It was very like cookie cutter, and I felt like there wasn't a lot of ingenuity or interestingness put into developing like an interesting lyric pattern or to create a story within the songs. It's like he found something that works really well, and it works really well in pop, that's for sure. and then he just stuck with that and didn't experiment or try anything new. So I felt like in that respect, he kind of valued the music more by trying so many different musical styles, but like he just wanted to play it safe with the lyrical structure. As far as the lyrics themselves go, I think there's some like really great imagery in there. I really like some of the artistry in some of it. As much as I don't really want to listen to other people sing about sex, I thought that Stargirl interlude was pretty like creatively done. Lyrics overall, I'd give like a 5 or 6 out of 10, something like that. They weren't anything super special. It was the creativity or the concept behind it that I thought was awesome. Lyrics wise, I'd have to say my favorite songs were probably Ordinary Life, because that was just this perfect picture of like the conflict that he's always dealing with and telling us about. And lyrically, I like True Colors, because I felt like that was a song that showed like a ton of like it was just a super powerful song. It preached forgiveness, and I don't pick the songs that I like based on like whether they have like this really like good wholesome message or not, but it just showed, I felt like, a lot of maturity, and it kind of stood out in the album for that reason, and it just kind of made it memorable. Anyway, overall, I would give the Starboy album, oh man, I would give it like a 7 out of 10. I thought it had an awesome concept. It had like baseline good music. The lyrics were weak at points, but kind of like baseline at others. And it just kind of combined all together to make, like an averagely good album. I don't think it's as good as Beauty Behind the Madness. And artists like Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, Chance the Rapper's album, I thought Coloring Book was awesome. 21 Pilots' Blurry Face was awesome. So those are all kind of examples of albums that I would rate higher than this one. Do not get me wrong, people. Like, I know you love The Weeknd. I love The Weeknd too. This is really great. I love Abel Tesfaye and all the work that he puts out. That's why like this is kind of a high rating, 7 out of 10, but I don't think that it was like the best he's capable of, and I think he's gonna bring out even more and better stuff for us. Yeah, so that is my review and vlog and explanation of the Starboy album. This has been like an incredible day talking about this all day long with you guys, and I'm super excited to do more of this in the future. Please comment below a song that you'd like to hear me explain or an album you'd like to hear me review. Let's continue this conversation. Don't forget to subscribe, join the Song Meaning community, check out some of the other songs that I've explained. Yeah, and let's keep loving music together, talking about it, having a great time. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.